When it comes to trust, most people assume it depends on history, familiarity, or how long you've known someone. But spiritually awake and emotionally aware individuals, something deeper. A person's patterns tell you far more than their words ever will. The first and most important step in understanding the 7 personality types you should never trust is recognizing how trust is built and how it is broken. Through subtle behaviors, emotional signals, and unconscious motives. Many people enter our lives appearing friendly, confident, or charming. But charm is not character. A warm smile is not integrity. A polite tone is not sincerity. Trustworthy people reveal themselves through consistency, honesty, emotional responsibility, and respect. Untrustworthy people reveal themselves too, but usually through contradictions, emotional instability, or behavior that doesn't match their claims. Section 1 focuses on a crucial foundation: why identifying untrustworthy personalities matters in the first place. Most of us underestimate the long-term damage caused by letting the wrong people too close. A single manipulative person can drain your energy, distort your self-esteem, sabotage your goals, or create emotional chaos in your life. Understanding these personality types is not about judging others. It's about protecting yourself, your peace, and your mental clarity. One of the biggest challenges is that untrustworthy people rarely show their true colors immediately. They often wear masks, friendly, supportive, or humble on the surface, until they feel secure enough to reveal their true motives. This is why emotional awareness becomes essential. When you pay attention to how a person makes you feel, what they consistently do, and what they subtly take from you, the truth becomes easier to see. Trust is built through emotional safety. You can only trust someone who respects your boundaries, honors your truth, and treats your vulnerability with care. Untrustworthy personality types do the opposite. They manipulate boundaries, twist truth, use vulnerability as leverage, or pretend to care while secretly serving their own interests. These people often drain your energy, confuse your intuition, and make you doubt yourself. This is why recognizing them is one of the most powerful forms of self-protection. Another reason it's important to understand these 7 harmful personality types is that they often enter your life disguised as helpers, friends, or even protectors. Some may appear confident but hide insecurity. Some may act independent but secretly depend on others for emotional or financial survival. Some may look innocent but operate with hidden agendas. The danger is not their appearance. The danger is how they affect your inner world. When you learn to identify these patterns early, you free yourself from emotional entanglements that could take months or even years to undo. You save your energy. You protect your peace. You strengthen your intuition. Trusting the wrong people can derail your personal growth, but recognizing the signs allows you to choose relationships that are healthy, stable, and aligned with your well-being. Section 1 sets the stage. Before you learn the 7 types you should never trust, you must first understand why trust is sacred and why protecting it is essential for a balanced, peaceful, and empowered life. The second type of personality you should never place your trust in is the chameleon personality. The person who changes their behavior, their values, and even their identity depending on who they are with. At first glance, they may appear friendly, flexible, and easy to get along with. They seem to agree with you on everything, mirror your opinions, and adapt to your energy almost perfectly. But this is exactly what makes them so dangerous. You can never truly know who they are because they themselves don't know. Their sense of self shifts constantly based on what benefits them in the moment. People with chameleon personalities are skilled at blending in. They can make you feel understood, appreciated, and supported. But their agreement is often not genuine. It is strategic. They say what you want to hear, so you will let your guard down. They behave how you prefer, so they can stay in your good graces. They shape-shift emotionally and psychologically to blend into any environment, making it almost impossible to see their true intentions. And because they can mimic authenticity so well, many people fall into the trap of trusting them too quickly. The danger becomes clear when your needs or opinions no longer align with theirs. The moment standing with you is no longer convenient, they shift again, this time away from you. A chameleon is loyal only to the situation that benefits them most. They can praise you today and join your critics tomorrow. Their adaptability makes them unpredictable, and unpredictability is the enemy of trust. You may notice that they act differently around different groups. With one person, they are kind and thoughtful. With another, they are sarcastic or cruel. With some people, they appear spiritual and grounded. With others, they behave recklessly. Their shifting personality isn't growth, it's inconsistency. It's a survival strategy rooted in insecurity and a desire for approval, not genuine connection. Another red flag is that chameleon personalities rarely take a clear stance. They avoid confrontation, avoid commitment, and avoid responsibility. If there's a conflict, they will agree with whoever they are speaking to, even if it means contradicting themselves. If they make a promise and circumstances change, they will break it without guilt. Because to them, promises are flexible, just like their identity. Chameleons also tend to disappear when things get difficult. They cannot be counted on because they do not operate from stable values or emotional accountability. Their shifting nature means they can easily betray trust without feeling they have done anything wrong. After all, they simply adapted to the situation. To protect yourself, pay attention to patterns, watch how they behave with others, not just with you. Listen for contradictions in their stories. Notice how quickly they agree with everyone. Most importantly, observe whether their words and actions remain consistent over time. Trust is built on stability and integrity. Two things the chameleon personality lacks. And no matter how charming or relatable they seem, relying on someone who can become a different person at any moment is a risk you should never take. The third personality type you should never trust is the person who twists the truth whenever it benefits them. These individuals don't necessarily lie in dramatic or obvious ways. Their deception is subtle, strategic, and carefully calculated. They bend facts just enough to protect themselves, manipulate situations, or shape how others see them. Their dishonesty is not always spoken. It often hides in what they choose to leave out, distort, or suggest through implication. What makes this personality especially dangerous is that they often appear honest on the surface. They know how to present themselves as sincere, reasonable, and even humble. They may speak calmly, smile politely, and behave in a way that appears trustworthy. But underneath that mask, there is a consistent pattern. Truth is never their priority. Their priority is control. Their priority is image. Their priority is getting what they want, even if it means reshaping reality to suit their narrative. They lie in ways that leave you doubting yourself. These people are experts at selective storytelling. They tell half a story, leaving out key details that would change the entire meaning. They twist events so subtly that you begin to question your own memory. You start thinking maybe you misunderstood, maybe you overreacted, maybe you're imagining things. This is not accidental, it is intentional. It is a psychological tactic that keeps them in power and keeps you off balance. People who twist the truth also tend to play both sides of a situation. They tell one version of the story to one person and a completely different version to someone else. They adapt their lies depending on what benefits them in the moment. This creates confusion, distrust, and conflict between others while they remain conveniently neutral, acting as if they are above the chaos they themselves created. Another red flag is that these individuals never fully commit to anything they say. They leave their statements open, flexible, and vague enough so they can escape responsibility later. They might promise something without actually promising it. They use phrases like maybe, we'll see, or I don't remember saying that, so they are never held accountable. And when they are confronted, they often gaslight, turning the situation around so that you seem unreasonable for even questioning them. Trusting this personality type is emotionally draining because you never know where you stand. One day they seem supportive. The next day they subtly undermine you. One moment they compliment you. The next moment they twist your words to make you look wrong. Their behavior keeps you in a state of mental uncertainty, always trying to read between the lines, always second guessing. Ultimately, people who twist the truth can damage your confidence, your peace, and your perception of reality. Healthy relationships, whether personal or professional, are built on trust, transparency, and consistency. A person who cannot give you a stable, honest version of the truth cannot give you safety, cannot give you loyalty, and cannot give you real connection. Recognizing this pattern early is essential, because once you understand how they operate, you also understand that their dishonesty is not a mistake, it is a part of who they are. And once you see that clearly, you realize they are not someone who belongs in your inner circle. Among all the personality types you should never trust, the manipulative individual is perhaps the most dangerous. Not because they act loudly, but because they act quietly. Manipulative people rarely show their true intentions. They operate from the shadows, using subtle conversations, emotional pressure, or quiet guilt to bend others to their will. What makes them difficult to recognize is that they don't always appear harmful at first. In fact, they often present themselves as helpful, caring, or emotionally supportive. But beneath that surface lies an agenda, a desire for control, or an unspoken expectation that ultimately serves them, not you. A manipulative person studies others deeply. They learn your strengths, weaknesses, fears, and insecurities, not because they care, but because they want leverage. They understand human behavior with surprising accuracy, and they use that understanding to shape your decisions without you even realizing it. Their influence doesn't come from force. It comes from subtle emotional nudges. They may make you feel guilty for saying no, ashamed for setting a boundary, or responsible for their happiness. Over time, you start making decisions that keep them comfortable instead of keeping yourself safe. Another trait that defines manipulative personalities is their inconsistency. One day they may be warm, attentive, and affectionate. The next day they become distant, cold, or emotionally unavailable. This inconsistency is not accidental. It creates confusion, and confusion creates dependency. When someone cannot predict how another person will react, they begin changing their behavior to avoid conflict or regain approval. Manipulative people thrive on this dynamic because it keeps them in power. They also avoid direct responsibility. When something goes wrong, it is never their fault. They shift blame with precision, turning themselves into the victim in every situation. If they hurt you, they'll say you misunderstood. If they break trust, they'll insist you're too sensitive. If you finally confront them, they'll accuse you of overreacting or being ungrateful. This ability to twist reality is one of their most powerful tools because it causes you to doubt your own perceptions. People with manipulative tendencies also struggle to respect boundaries. When you say no, they treat it as a challenge. When you set limits, they push against them. When you try to create distance, they find a way to pull you back in through apology, emotional vulnerability, or promises they never intend to keep. The moment they sense you slipping away, they reshape their behavior just enough to keep you close. The most important thing to understand is this: manipulative people are rarely looking for mutual relationships. They seek situations where they remain in control, emotionally, mentally, or socially. Trusting them often leads to emotional exhaustion, confusion, self-doubt, and a slow erosion of your confidence. Recognizing this personality type is essential for protecting your peace. The moment you feel someone subtly controlling your emotions, shaping your decisions, crossing your boundaries, or making you responsible for their happiness, Step back. Manipulation grows slowly, but it drains deeply. And among all the personality types, you should never trust. This one has the quietest voice, but the strongest impact.